Greetings, good morning. I just wanted to make a super quick video. I'm making this sort of on the fly while getting ready to go to church. And it's going to cover, I guess, the latest drama in the ongoing saga between the Thoughts Camera Action channel and certain Israelites online. For those who've seen my previous videos, the TCA channel or Thoughts Camera Action channel has been making attempts to expose everyone and anyone, it could be fraternities, churches, and also various Israelites. And I guess that was all fine and dandy when he was going after really big, popular One West groups like IUIC, but he ran afoul of certain people when he took on, I guess, Ron Dalton, Sean Burgundy, and to be fair, while I don't like his arguments, I think his reasoning is poor. He was consistent with his approach. He does have this sort of approach that's reminiscent of GMS a decade and a half ago, where he tries to implicate people as having nefarious intentions by focusing on their hand positions, for example. That's not the only thing he does, but that seems to be a major part of his approach, and I'm definitely not a fan of that type of reasoning. But whatever the case, he ran afoul of certain Israelites eventually, and now what used to be all fun and games is now despised by certain people. Whatever the case, following this recent controversy has been interesting for me because where my mind has shifted in different directions depending on where we're at in the saga. Like, for example, I honestly had to applaud and agree with the approach of the Teo twins, which was to show that you could easily find the same hand signs amongst TCA's own footage, amongst his own chosen avatar or icon or whatever you want to call it. And so, I, giving credit where credit is due, I applauded the Teo twins' response the same way I applauded the ICGJC's response to GMS a decade ago, But nonetheless, what I wanted to cover in this video is that while don't like the reasoning of these sort of appeals to hand signs, hand positions, and stuff like that, I despise censorship. And it seems that the Thoughts Camera Action channel is possibly on the brink of having his channel taken down. And so that's what I wanted to cover in this very short video. On your screen is the Thoughts Camera Action channel. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the community tab on that channel. And there were 3 recent community posts over the last week, and I'd like to focus on them. The first one is this one from about a week ago, maybe closing in on 8 days, I don't know. But he said the video titled "Africa and Freemasonry" was taken down by IOG Hebrew Assembly. Interesting. All right. And then he shared screenshots of the message that he received from YouTube, and I'll see if I can focus in on what they sent him. It says here, a copyright owner has asked us to take down your video because they believe it contains material which violates their copyright. As a result, your video was removed from YouTube and your channel received a strike. If you get 3 copyright strikes, your account, along with any associated channels, will be subject to termination. So apparently he received 1 copyright strike, and if he receives 2 more, his channel could be taken down. That was a week ago. And now take a look at his most recent post. And he writes the following: Hebrew Church Group takes another video down on Freemasonry and the Hebrew Awakening, despite only a thumbnail being used. This whole Hebrewanity religion nation seems like an utter joke full of gatekeepers, actors, and baiters. A total scam come a black version of the Ku Klux Klan, right? And then you see the message that he received. Hi, Thoughts Camera Action. We received a copyright removal request for your video. Based on applicable copyright law, we've removed your video from YouTube. And looking through this, I don't know if he received a strike, so maybe he's not at 2 strikes, but he might be at 2 strikes, and therefore he could be at risk of receiving a 3rd strike anytime soon and having his channel taken down. So just wanted to note that I'm not a fan of censorship. I abhor censorship, so I abhor this sort of cheap approach to trying to silence him, and I think the better approach would be simply to show the problem with the reasoning, not try to silence him. But with that in mind, I wanted to show one last post. This apparently is from 2 days ago, and what he's covering here is the African Israelite Justice Foundation, which is a group that apparently is run by Benaiah Israel and others, and has been promoted by Sister E and Kelly Richardson. And so he wrote a relatively long post. It seems to be rhyming for the most part. I'm not sure if he intended this as to be used as rap lyrics, perhaps in a future video or something like that, or if it's intended as poetry or something like that. I'm not going to attempt to rap this, but I guess I'll just read it straightforward, and it'll sound a bit like a poem because of the rhyming, but nonetheless, it seems worthwhile to read this, just in case his channel does get taken down. It's worth documenting this stage of the controversy. He wrote the following. He wrote, "Dear AIJF, or Dear African Israelite Justice Foundation Presidents Benaiah Israel and Son of Shemites LL Tracks. African Israelite Justice Foundation, I see the latest video was made for me, talking about silencing content creators with whom you disagree, while encouraging free speech for Kyrie, Ron, and Burgundy. The double standards at large is so plain to see. Are we trying to become the new Anti-Defamation League, recruiting lawyers and police officers from overseas, while paying them with the foundation fees to carry out self-serving deeds? Do cliques, crews, and lodges run the awakening community? Underhanded tactics and gestures of juvenility, but it's all love, even though we disagree. It's funny, I don't see anyone really acknowledging but downplaying the awakening's ties to Divine Nine and Prince Hall Masonry. But I see a lot of Hebrew men and women united in love to silence me. The Most High sees all idle words, pride, and inconsistencies. I wish you all a good day, but to any reader, if you're a predator, don't pray for me. At some point, when the dust is settled and emotions have returned to glee, we should all address the aforementioned to edify all people constructively and cordially. Glory to the Most High Yah." Now, just one point of clarification. Apparently, if he has two strikes, at least one of his strikes has come from IOG, which to my knowledge is not related to the African Israelite group. And if he's incurred a second strike, like I said, both strikes apparently go back to IOG, Israel of God, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a group based in Chicago and is not connected to the African Israelite Justice Foundation. To my knowledge, I could be wrong about that, but I just wanted to clarify that it's my understanding, however fallible, that they're not connected. So others might want to point that out. So it's not the AIJF, it's not the African Israelite Justice Foundation that's scoring that strike, or possibly multiple strikes against Thoughts Camera Action, but the intention nonetheless seems to be there, even if they're not as successful as IOG. As I covered in a previous video, Benaiah Israel put out a sort of veiled legal threat towards Thoughts Camera Action, and I think, and that's clearly what Thoughts Camera Action was referring to in this community post. I'll share relevant links. I just want to document this because it seems like Thoughts Camera Action is on the brink of being the victim of a successful attempt at censorship. And on that note, I'll close this video here. Happy Lord's Day, and God bless.